Seller's market, stable market, or a buyer's market? What market are you in today? Now, as a real estate agent, we are always trying to figure out if there's a shift. And I'm here to tell you there is a shift. Depending on what city you're in, the market is changing. Here's a really quick way to figure out what type of market you're in. If you are a member of the National Association of Realtors, basically your local association, you have access to Realtors Property Resource. This is what you're going to do. You're going to go to narrpr.com. The second thing you're going to do is when you log in, first of all, you might need to create your account, but when you log in, you're going to simply go to the top of the screen and click marketing. Once you click marketing, I want you to simply click residential market trends and then put in whatever city you work in or you want to work in. So, for example, I happen to be a real estate agent, designated managing broker in Illinois and Florida. So, I like to know what's happening in Kissimmee, and I also like to see what's happening, let's say, in Broadview, Illinois. So, if I were to type in Kissimmee, Florida, almost said Illinois, and I simply click enter, I can see that as I'm creating this talk, we're in a buyer's market. And it is taking a little bit less than 8 months to absorb the inventory. So let me define the difference between a buyer's market, a stable market, and a seller's market. When you have months of inventory of less than 3 months, that means assuming all things are perfect, 3 months or less is a seller's market. That means nothing else is coming on the market and you'll sell off all of the current inventory in less than 3 months. When you get over 6 months, you are in a buyer's market. That means it is taking more than 6 months to absorb the inventory. When you look between 4 and say 5, maybe close to 6, you're in a stable market. That means you have just as many buyers as sellers. Maybe not 100% equal, but pretty close. So when you get to the point where you are in a buyer's market as a real estate agent, you need to understand that buyers have leverage. So when a buyer is looking at properties, they have a lot of choices, so they do not have to make a decision right away. When you're in a seller's market and you're working with a buyer, the buyer needs to be prepared to write an offer, and yes, maybe even on the first house they see. So as a real estate agent in Florida, I am looking at the fact that we're in a buyer's market. Now, homes are still selling close to 100% of the asking price. That's because real estate agents are not educating their clients. Now, it doesn't mean all agents, but if I had a buyer in Kissimmee, Florida, I would say, look, you're in a buyer's market. You have choices. You don't have to make a decision right away. We can look at homes that are for sale, resale by a seller. We can look at pre foreclosures. We can look at foreclosures. We can look at new construction, and you can take your time when you decide to buy. Now, if I were to go back to those steps and I go to research residential market trends, if I put in a different city, so I said Broadview, so let's try Broadview, Illinois. When I click enter, I can see, oh, not enough market data. So I'm going to go to a neighboring city. And I already know Broadview's in a seller's market. So here's Maywood, a neighboring city. Maywood, Illinois is in a seller's market. Homes are selling for less than 2 months. So it's taking less than 2 months to absorb all of the inventory, assuming nothing comes on the market. And homes are selling for over 100% of the asking price. So even though interest rates are higher than they were in 2020, 2021, 2022, and maybe some of 2023, homes are still, there's not a lot of inventory. We still have some gridlock, and sellers still have some leverage. Homes might take a little bit longer to sell depending on what city you're in. So I'm going to pull another city. Oh, let's check out Geneva, Illinois. So Geneva, Illinois, yep, still a seller's market. Let's move around a little bit. Let's check out, let's say, I'm gonna go with Glenview. Let's see how we're doing here. So Glenview is the seller's market. I'm looking for high-end homes. Let's see, Hinsdale. Are we still in the seller's market? So Hinsdale is at 3 months. So a seller's market, a little bit above 3 months to absorb the inventory, and it is taking a little bit longer for homes to go under contract, but still a seller's market. As a real estate agent, it is very important for you to watch the market changes. So let me give you a tip. Number one, go to narrpr.com. create your account. You will need your member number. Number two, once you've created your account, look at this data every single month. I like to use this data using ChatGPT to create letters to a seller, to create social media content, and to create blog posts on LinkedIn. I'm Carrie Little, the designated managing broker of Caremark Realty Group in Illinois and Florida, and we also sell land in Mexico. Make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel and take a few minutes to find me on TikTok and Instagram.